Some cursed dolls exist, and you can feel their effects even without touching them. Peggy is one of them. It is said that people who merely look at her experience shortness of breath, headaches, seeing shadows, and an intense panic they cannot explain. According to some, this doll carries not a spirit, but something much darker. Today, she is watched 24/7 with cameras in a special room, because even leaving Piggy alone is considered risky. So what makes this doll so dangerous? Where does the power that affects those who see her come from? And is there truly a spirit inside her that claims to speak? Or is a far more disturbing truth being hidden? Peggy is actually a doll from the mid-20th century. At first glance, she looks like an old-style toy with a vanilla face and a soft body. She's neither as fragile as porcelain nor as innocent-looking as a rag doll. But the truly disturbing part is the intense unease she creates despite appearing so ordinary. Today, Peggy is kept in a sealed room specially prepared by paranormal researcher Jane Harris. The room is completely isolated from the outside, and the area where the doll is placed is monitored by security cameras 24/7. Moreover, the cameras are used not only for security purposes, but also to record the sudden energy fluctuations believed to be caused by the doll. Peggy is never left alone because temperature changes are reported to occur when the door is closed and they leave the room. Sudden static interference appears on the cameras, and Peggy's position is set to shift by millimeters. Jane Harris' statement is very clear. When Peggy is left alone, the room's energy becomes disturbed. That's why the doll is still under supervision today. But that doesn't mean one can be protected from her effects. The fact that people experience the same symptoms after being exposed to Peggy's image cannot be dismissed as coincidence. And the hundreds of messages Jane Harris receives, the same thing are described. Sudden headaches, increased heart rate, shadow appearing at the edge of vision, unexplained chills, and the feeling of someone watching you. And these people are not even in the same room as Peggy just watching her video. This brings up two possibilities. First, Peggy has a direct energetic effect. Some researchers believe the doll is a carrier of residual energy. In other words, a traumatic event from the past may be trapped on Peggy, like an echo. Objects like this can interact with the human mind, triggering headaches or panic. This is not like a physical curse, it is more like creating a mental pressure field. Second, a darker mechanism is at work. This is the theory that makes Peggy more dangerous. Some paranormal investigators claim that the entity attached to the doll is not a spirit, but something more intelligent and intentional. According to this theory, Maggie may be used by a being that feeds on human attention, can make contact from a distance, and creates influence through visual exposure. Meaning, the issue may not be the doll itself, but something using the doll as a tool. This explanation is often used to make sense of the intensity of the symptoms experienced by those who simply look at Peggy's video. Jane Harris' most chilling remark is this: Peggy does not seem like she wants to harm people. She seems more like she is trying to get their attention. This statement also reflects a desire to respond to the comments and claims made about Peggy's past, because the speculation and stories make the situation different and push for explanations. Peggy's story is largely unknown. We have no official verified timeline, but the claims and session narratives gather around a certain idea. Before reaching Jane Harris, Peggy passed through the hands of several different owners. One of these owners said she experienced disturbing events in her home before giving the doll to Harris. Unexplained restlessness in the house, a constant feeling of being watched, and an intense pressure specifically in the room where the doll was. At this point, Maggie stopped being just an old toy. The most talked about topic about Peggy is the identity claimed to emerge during spiritual sessions. Some mediums claiming to connect with the doll share the following information. The entity introduced itself as a woman who lived in the 1940s. In some sessions, she says her name is Margaret. She implies her death was sudden and traumatic, and her dominant emotions are described as anger, unease, and a feeling of being trapped. But here is the critical detail. The voice or presence that emerges in these descriptions does not feel like a child. This distinguishes Peggy from cases like Okiko, because what we are dealing with here is far from the idea of an innocent child spirit. The more disturbing possibility is that some researchers even adopt the female spirit narrative. According to them, this identity could be deliberately constructed by whatever is being communicated with, meaning the thing that says, I'm Margaret, may not actually be Margaret. This could be a mask used to gain trust or maintain interaction. That's why the most repeated sentence in the Peggy cases, we don't know exactly what it is, but we know what it is not. It is not ordinary. The previous owner's identity is unknown, so we have no information about what may have happened before. The person who gave the doll to Harris says she has no knowledge of Peggy's past. Most likely, it was purchased at a flea market or an antique toy stall. Therefore, the event that was triggered Peggy's reputation was the series of disturbing experiences that ruined her previous owner's life. The owner said that while Peggy was in the house, she experienced shortness of breath as if being suffocated in her sleep, had a constant sense that someone was in the house, and even when Peggy was placed in another room, the atmosphere of the house became sticky and oppressive. At night, a shadow-like silhouette appeared in her room. This situation became so intense that the woman eventually decided to get rid of the doll. The reason Peggy was sent to Harris was actually this desperation. This event marked the first time Peggy was known as a dangerous doll. After the doll reached Harris, things became even more serious, because even researchers who spent just a few minutes in the same room with Peggy experienced increased pulse rate, head and chest pain, an unexplained sense of panic attack, sudden drops in room temperature, and electromagnetic field fluctuations. Harris herself says she suddenly felt short of breath during her first contact with the doll and felt room contract. For this reason, Harris immediately decided to isolate the doll because she noticed two critical things that day. First, Peggy's effect was direct and fast. The fact that she could affect several people within minutes was too strong to be explained by a simple energy residue. Second, the room felt activated after Peggy's entered, as if it came alive. Sensors showed fluctuations, the camera recorded sudden flashes of light, and unexplained shadow movements were seen. According to Harris, Peggy was not something that adapted to the space she was in. She was something that made space adapt to her. That's why she locked the doll inside a special isolation room in the lab, activated the cameras, and decided never to leave Peggy unsupervised again. Even now, the purpose is simple, and in Harris' own words, we are not hiding Peggy. We are containing her. That's why she is in an isolated and closed environment. If something is happening, we watch constantly to understand when and how it happens. Peggy has not been widely explored in popular culture yet, but you can find more direct information in Jane Harris' book Peggy the Doll, a very different haunting. Some of the stories surrounding Peggy may be exaggerated, but what remains is truly unsettling. Because this doll is not only associated with strange events. People who see her, watch her, or even just look at a photo of her experience physical reactions. Too dark, too consistent, and too disturbing for a toy. That's why Peggy is still waiting in a locked room today. Silent, motionless, but never truly passive. And the most frightening part is this. If all of this is just a myth, why has no one dared to set her free? Please don't forget to share your thoughts and suggestions with us. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell. See you next week.